Just waiting for people to flow in, opening up my channel so I can see the chat over here. Just waiting for people to flow in. So, yes, and this is your first. Welcome, thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm going to go ahead and paste the Hangout link in there for anyone who wants to join and talk. I finally figured out the Hangout thing. Wasn't hard. You just have to do it as an event. I'm not using my OBS because the live stream is down. Just because the duct tape fell off the tank, and I've been too lazy to look for the duct tape because everything's a mess. But so hey Josh, hey V-Stag, hey Kyle, what's going on? I got my reverse osmosis system today, which is awesome. Super happy about that. I got it from Bulk Reef Supply. It is a 5-stage filter. 5-stage filter. I'm just looking it up and getting the link so I could share the link to it so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I got the 5-stage 150 gallon per day plus water saver RODI system from Bulk Reef Supply, and I'm about to post the link. I do have a little, there's a little tiny leak on one of the connections, but nothing to return it over. Once you go RO, you don't go back. That's for sure. Nice, yeah. I almost went with the 75 gallon, but then, I don't know, I just figured I'd go with the water saver because it came with all the cool stuff, like the float valves and everything, so then I wouldn't have to buy that all separate. How's the stream quality? According to Luke Diesel, stream quality is way better when you use a Hangout versus OBS or whatever. I don't even have my OBS running right now, like I said, because the live stream of my shrimp tank is down, so I wouldn't really have a background anyway. And I got a super big mess over here from installing the RO system. So what's up, everyone? What you guys want to talk about? Is anyone going to join? Come on. You don't even want to join. I'm going to be the only person talking here. Where's Chaz when you need him? Quality's good, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to start this at 10:30. That's going to be try to be my scheduled time on Wednesdays. It's going to be 10:30. But of course, I turn my computer on at 10:20 and Windows update. So and then I was waiting forever, and then I was going to set up my live stream, but then 5 minutes into looking for the duct tape, I got lazy, and then I got late. So I plan on going to bed at like soon. So this is not going to be a long one, but thanks for coming. The shrimp are doing awesome. Oh, what's up from Idaho, new kid? Awesome. The shrimp are doing really well. The reason I decided against the live video, other than I couldn't find the duct tape, was I turned on the light in there, and my crystal shrimp and my bees were swimming around in the tank, and I saw fresh molt. So I never want to disturb them when there's a fresh molt and they're swimming around, because that's when you get berries, and that's when the males find the females and all that good stuff. So I didn't want to disturb them during that. No, it had to have the light on, and so I left it off. Yep, I'm using salty shrimp. I have the GH plus for the Caridina and the GH plus for the Neocaridinas. Oh, so awesome. You use 2 full fills. That's good because I think I saw them at Home Depot and they were only like 10 to 15 bucks. So I'll get another one for an emergency. That's a really good idea. I made it all on video, so I'll have a video coming out on that real soon, probably tomorrow, because it's not much editing. I actually just did it in order as I went, so it should be just kind of slap it together, throw some music in, and put it up. So everyone's overflowing. Yeah, I was gonna turn mine off, like when I'm not using it, but I hooked it up to the fridge. Like, so basically I have the RO coming in, and where it splits off to go to the DI, I teed it. Well, I teed it off twice, actually. I teed it once going up to my fridge so I get RO water out of the fridge. And then I teed it once just to a long line because I have 5-gallon water jugs that I want to fill up, or buckets in case I want to fill anything up. I could just put the line and turn the little valve and it fills containers with just the RO water, not the RODI. And then I bought these trace mineralizers. They're upstairs, or I'd show them to you. But I bought trace mineralizer for human consumption, for drinking the water, so that you add to the RO water, and it basically makes it perfect for human drinking consumption, like what we need. So, yeah, I know you're not supposed to drink RODI water, which is why I teed it off before it hit the DI. Plus, it's cheaper that way because it doesn't use up your resin for drinking, and especially if I'm just going to remineralize it anyway. How do I feel about CO2 in a shrimp tank? You can do it. It depends on if you care more about your shrimp or your plants. I don't do it because I just try to stick to Subwassertang in my tanks now. I was going with Java Moss, and neither one needs CO2. And I would put more plants in there, but CO2 generally you have to have really small, tiny bubbles that you blow around and circulate in the water. And if you look, I did some research, but it's the internet, so who knows if this is true or not. But you get little tiny bubbles in the baby shrimp. Those bubbles get stuck, and they end up killing the shrimp somehow, basically. Little tiny bubbles are bad for shrimp. So I don't personally use CO2 in a shrimp tank, but people do it successfully. Be careful, mine ran for a whole day when my full veil failed. That's why I decided to put a second one. Yep, exactly. I'm going to probably hit up Home Depot tomorrow on my lunch break because that's a very, very good idea, and I'm all about the redundant systems. So that's cool. But yeah, anyway, back to the CO2 in a shrimp tank. I used to have the do-it-yourself CO2, where you just put yeast and sugar water in a 2-liter bottle, and I had a 2-liter bottle that was linked to another 2-liter bottle that linked to a diffuser in the tank. And the reason for the second 2-liter bottle was in case the yeast and sugar got too foamy and some foam got up that straw, that would drain into the second bottle before. So it made it impossible for basically any of that yeast water to get into the tank. But that worked really well and provided CO2 for like a week or two, and that was awesome. And then I just ran I had a timer for my lights and a timer for my air pump that ran opposite. So whenever the lights turned off, the air pump turned on. And the reason you want to do that is because plants use oxygen at night, not CO2. So if you let the CO2 keep running with the do-it-yourself system, you can't really turn off the CO2 at night, or else the bottle will explode. So you kind of got to agitate the water to get the CO2 out of the water at night, because the plants don't use it, and you could really swing your pH and do some damage. If your cherry shrimp have stopped breeding, is there something I can do to get them starting again? I do 30% water change every 2 weeks and feed about every 3 days. I would stop doing so much water changes if they stop breeding. Shrimp are all about consistency, and I am in agreement with Sergeant Tanks that with shrimp, people are so concerned about the water being clean. They do water changes way too much. And yeah, clean water is important for shrimp, but so is stability. And when you're changing your water and messing with stability all the time, it's bad. To do a 30% change every 2 weeks, you would be much, much better off doing a 15% change every week, and that'd be the same amount of water. But I still feel like that's too much. I do about a 10% change every 2 weeks, and that's just right now because I can't actually measure. Like I can measure ammonia, nitrate, nitrites, all that good stuff. But when it like the TDS, so I'll only really do a water change if my nitrates are really high, or now that I'm using the RO water, I know what the TDS going in is. So once I see notice a lot of TDS going up, it would have to be from organic compounds such as poop and dissolved plants, and that's the stuff you want to do your water change to get out. So you could, I mean, just doing water changes based on time, like I do it this time, this time, this time, this time. You don't really need to do it that way. You really just monitor your water and do water changes when needed. And the best way to do it is I'm going to set up a drip system that's going to drip very slowly. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to get it to go so slow because all the drip that you could buy, the smallest one I found was you could drip half a gallon an hour. And I'm looking for something that's more like half a gallon a day. So that I basically am only doing half a gallon water changes every day, which seems like a real lot, which it kind of is. So I'd actually like to do only like a 1/10 of a gallon a day, so that, or a 1/7 of a gallon a day, basically, so that once a week I'm changing a gallon in the 10-gallon tank, which will be a 10% change once a week, very, very slowly. So that's really what I'm looking for. A dripper that can do a 1/10 or 1/7 of a gallon a day, not an hour. So basically I bought just the normal air valves that you use to control air, and I'm planning on trying to control that where I can drip it so slow that it's like maybe 1 drip an hour, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it down that slow. So if you guys have any suggestions on how I can slow down that drip to around a 1/7 of a gallon per day, please let me know, because I'm still trying to research it. And I think if I try to set it that slow, it's going to clog and just stop all the time. So that's the problem I'm anticipating. Kyle, that's a great question. My video is going to be coming out tomorrow on how I'm going to do the remineralizing and everything with the RO system. But basically, my garbage can that's full of my RODI water, I'm going to have a pump that pumps up to 2 10-gallon tanks that are on the very top of my rack. So I'll have 1 tank for the Caridina shrimp that I remineralize perfectly for that, and then I'll have 1 tank that I remineralize for the Neocaridina, and then I'll let gravity drip down, and I can see the water level in those tanks dropping. And like I said, I'm going to do it at such a slow drip that each 10-gallon tank, well, the Neo tank, I'll probably have to fill up maybe every 3 days if I get it to drip as slow as I want, because I have a couple Neo tanks. But the Caridina tank, I only have 3 tanks right now that would use that water. So that water I basically would only have to refill up once every week and a half or whatever. But I plan on using a pump to pump water up into those 10-gallon tanks on the top, then remineralizing those, and then using those tanks to drip. And then, yes, I have to manually watch those tanks to see when they need to be refilled, and then shut off the drip system, fill it with the RODI water, remineralize it to where I want, and then turn the drip system back on. and then I'm going to have an overflow. Build simple overflows to overflow out on most of my tanks, except for the 16 tanks I got from Rob at Flip Aquatics, because those are already pre-drilled, so I won't need to overflow. A dosing pump on a timer for your water changes. It's like that would be really hard. That's a good suggestion, but I think it'd be really hard because the mineral is a powder. You could buy the liquid form, but I mean, the liquid form isn't as consistent as the powder, and so using a dosing pump with the liquid would be even less consistent because you're not shaking it up before you use it. So that would be the problem I would see with trying to use a dosing system. I'm sure it's totally possible with the powder if you figure out some type of system to mix up the powder and make a very concentrated solution, and then use that solution through the dosing pump once you figure out the right ratio to get it the water where you want it. That would be a way to go. I'm not going to automate it that far yet. I'm in my shrimp room every day anyway to watch the guys. So might not take a couple seconds just to fill up the tanks if they need it. So Kyle does a water change like once a month. How much do you change, Kyle? And if you guys, while I'm waiting on Kyle to answer, if you guys want to do me a favor and share this, we only got 6 people watching. So, hey Priscilla, what's going on? 7 now that Priscilla's here. So, yeah, I don't know if you like me, which yeah, obviously I think you do since you're here. Go ahead and give me a share. Get some more people in here. Maybe they'll like me too. But yeah, Priscilla, I just got RODI system. That's the chat that's going on right now. I was just explaining how I'm going to set up a drip system and how I'm going to remineralize it for the drip system, and how I also set up the RO for drinking water. But yeah, I bought these trace minerals. I don't know if I ever finished talking about that, but I bought the 5-gallon jug with a little dispenser, so then I basically just fill that with RO water, remineralize the 5 gallons, and then we drink that at a time. And then I also have it coming out of my fridge dispenser, and that's I use for like when I make coffee or tea or like iced tea or Kool-Aid or Tang. I love Tang, guys. I feel like Tang is so underrated. It's so good. I love it. But I always got Tang in the fridge. But I'm going to make my Tang with RO water now. Fish duties. Mr. Science Geek, what's up? I've been doing fish duties all day. Oh, I'm so tired. And then what else did I do today? Oh, I didn't tell you. So the office that I'm sitting in right now, my brother is in from Texas, and he's an electrician. So he installed 2 more breakers in my panel in the garage, and he ran one to my office. So now I have a quad outlet there with 20 amps of power coming here that I could easily split off of to put my light up when I finally put the light up. So I have the box there. And then I also have another 20, exact same thing, a quad, 2 quads that went to the fish room with 20 amps. So I don't have to worry about it, because I was noticing when the heater would kick on in the fish room, one of the lights would flicker a little bit. So obviously it was right on that verge, and that was on the same circuit as my laundry. So I was real worried if it's already on the verge. What if we're doing laundry at the same time that heater kicks on? It's probably gonna pop the circuit. So I gave the fish room its own circuit. So with 20 amps, which is way more than enough power to power the 1 amp air pump and like the 8 lights, the circulation fan, the heater, and the live camera feed. So that's way more than enough that I need in there. And way more than I'm going to need in my office. But yeah, I'll never have to worry about like turning a light on in my garage and popping the fuse in the fish room. Even though my house shouldn't be wired like that, but for some reason, the middle of my basement is on one breaker, and then like the 2 other sides are on another breaker. So my laundry's on one side and my shrimp room's on the other side, and apparently they're on the same breaker. So with the plug I was using, well, the couple plugs I was using to power the fish room. So that got me thinking, like, man, that's going to be bad news. It's going to blow the breaker one of these days. So I gave it its own breaker. You've seen, yeah. You've seen grow rooms use 0.5 gallon per hour drip emitters split to 4 lines. Okay. Okay, so it's a drip. So the drip emitters that I was looking at drip, like, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't put a line onto it after it regulated the drip to 5.5 gallons per hour. But now that you say that, I'm sure there are things out there more like a control valve than a drip emitter. But basically just set that to the smallest one I could find and then divide that tube among all of however small I need to get it to slow it down as much as I need. That could work. That could really work. Yeah, if you, VSTAG, if you have a link to anything like that, please post it. It's funny right now, I'm looking at my chat. Every one of you are mods. Well, not everyone, but almost everyone. Shared to Facebook. Thank you, Science Geek. That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely was a good idea to give the fish room its own circuit. It really, I have so much peace of mind from that. Even if it never happened, it never blew. I just have so much peace of mind for that. It cost like $200 though. I can't believe how much the freaking wiring is. I only bought 100 feet of it, and it was crazy to run that wire. Yeah, it cost me like $200, and that was do it yourself. That wasn't even having someone to do it like my brother did it. I didn't have to pay him. Don't be hesitant to get into the Caridina. I have found they are so much. I mean, I don't want to say this because everyone's going to be like, what? But I found that they're kind of so much easier than, I mean, the buffered substrate is scary, but it does its own work. You don't have to do anything for it. And I think they're so much hardier because if you watched, I didn't know why, but I just noticed that, like, the Caridina do so much better than the Neos, especially when you first get them in. I mean, I think once they adjust to your water, they kind of do about equal. But when you first get them in, I feel like the Caridina do a lot better. And it came up in the Flip Aquatics tour video, and Rob brought up that when he imported his shrimp, the Caridina did a lot better than the Neos. And I was like, that's really weird because everything you read about say that like the Caridina are harder to keep and the Neos are real easy. And he was like, well, if you think about it, the Neos are raised outdoors in big ponds, like in the sun, all happy and nice water that they're loving because it's outdoors. They're eating algae because it's outdoors. There's sun-growing algae everywhere, so they're eating what they want. All the leaves are in the water. They're getting everything they need. the detritus, and you know, then they get scooped up, they get packaged 200 per bag, dumped into a quarantine center where they get treated with a ton of meds, and then shipped off for who knows how many days going till they get here, going to an importer who probably doesn't do a quarantine like Rob does, and then within a day or two they're in a bag again, getting shipped to another aquarium, and then they're in an aquarium, which they've never been in an aquarium before except in the past couple of days, which they were in and out of them just to be sold, and they're super stressed out. They just went through all this medication and they're going to die. Whereas the Caridina are bred in aquariums, even overseas. They're shipped 50 per bag when you import them versus 200. So they're already used to living in an aquarium. They're already used to having filtered indoor like water. They're already used to eating pellet food instead of just algae and wild outdoor stuff. So they do much, much better. So that made total sense to me when he said that. It was like, wow, that's amazing, because that totally registers with everything that I've noticed about them. And honestly, the Neos I have now, besides Bloody Marys, I don't think I'm going to buy any more Neos for a while, at least until I got my Caridina tanks up. And I'm talking like a Shadow Panda tank, a King Kong tank, a Blue Bolt tank, you know. So a single species tank for each one of the Taiwan bees. And then the Royal Blue Tigers I want. And then, of course, those culls, you'll have black tigers and black tigers with orange eyes and orange eye blue tigers. And so then you basically buy one shrimp Royal Blue Tigers, but you need a Royal Blue Tiger tank set up. You need a black tiger tank set up. You need a black tiger with orange eyes tank set up. You need an orange eye blue tiger tank set up. And most likely you're going to need an orange eye blue tiger blonde tank set up for your calls from your orange eye blue tigers. So that's what I lost count on my fingers, even though I was counting them. 7 tanks from the Royal Blue Tigers, which is why they're awesome, and I can't wait to get them, because you get all of those different shrimp as their culls, and those are awesome shrimp. So basically, the worst cull you're going to get out of a Royal Blue Tiger, in my opinion, is probably an orange blue tiger or orange eye blue tiger blonde, which is still a really beautiful shrimp. So I can't wait to get those shrimp. But like I said, that's 7 tanks right there just for tiger shrimps. Just when I get Royal Blues, I need to have all those tanks ready for their culls. But anyway, I don't know why I got started on that tangent. Oh, the Caridina. So yeah, after the tiger shrimp and the Caridina, then I'm probably may go into like the green jades and branch out. But I mean, right now, I mean, I have a lot of the Neos that are out there. Like I have my cherries. So I basically have red Sakura, orange Sakura, black rose Neos, blue diamonds, blue dreams. What else? Let me go across to the tanks again. That'll be easier. So, oh yeah, that is it for the Neos, because I only have my cherries on the top rack, and then the rest are Caridina. And then so it goes cherry, you go down a rack. Then I have the blue diamonds / black diamonds. Then the black rose Neos next to those. Then the orange Sakura next to those. Then the blue dreams next to those. And then on the top rack, it's cherry Sakura, my Taiwan bee / crystal tank, my yellow King Kong tank, and then there's a tank set up that's empty, but it's got buffering substrate in it. And I think I'm going to use that for my adult crystals that I have that aren't Michelins. I bought them as crystals. They're in my Taiwan bee tank right now to get buried from Taiwan bees, so I get Michelins in that tank. And then once that happens, I'm going to take out all of those adult crystal reds and crystal blacks and put them in that other tank. So then I can start a crystal red and crystal black tank, but I'll still have some Michelins in my Taiwan bee tank. And that way I know for sure if I do ever decide to sell, which I will eventually, but I'm a hoarder right now. I'm going to wait till I got lots and lots of shrimp till I don't know what to do with them before I start selling them. But basically, if I do ever decide to start selling, if I separate those crystal reds out now after like their first batch of babies, I'll for sure know that the ones in that Taiwan bee tank are Michelins, and they won't be mixed because there's only females in that tank. I forgot to mention that. Only female crystals in the Taiwan bee tank. So once they have babies, I can take them out, put them in with the regular crystal tank. I'll have to get some males because it kind of lucked out that I only have female crystals in the crystal tank. I think they're all females. Crystals can be very hard to sex sometimes, but I'm pretty sure they're all females in there. But then, like, I keep getting sidetracked. I'm putting them in there, so then I know for a fact that I have Michelins in here and crystals over here. So if I go to sell Michelins, I know I'm not accidentally selling them just crystals that came from my first batch that never had Taiwan bees in there. Just because they were in the same tank with the Taiwan bees doesn't necessarily mean they were Michelins, because they could have been the first generation of crystals that I put in there. So that's why I want to take them out as soon as I see babies, which there are some babies in there right now. But as soon as I see, you know, like juvenile adults, then I'm going to take them out. I haven't looked at the chat in a while. I had a little rant there, but there's only 7 people here, so it's probably only like 2 people talking. I'm still hesitant to get into Caridina. Oh yeah, that's what got me started on the rant. So maybe I hope I changed your mind a little bit there, or at least got you thinking towards it, because they're awesome. In my opinion, like if I had to choose, Neos wouldn't even be in competition. Even though the Black Rose Neo is one of my favorite shrimp, they got nothing on Caridina. I mean, you could tell, just take a yellow King Kong and put it next to a yellow Sakura, and you'll be like, the yellow Sakura looks like garbage. But that's only next to each other. But that's why I don't have yellow Sakuras, because Rob always says they're very hard to breed. They die off. They're one of the hardest Neos. You read that more in other places than just Rob. The only exception I've heard to that is Lucas Bretz has a really good strain of goldenbacks that are prolific and do fine. So if you're looking for yellows, go with Caridina, the yellow King Kong, or get them from Lucas Bretz. Or Flip Aquatics Imports. He has 1 tank that's doing well. I think he has 4 tanks of yellows, and he said he's only willing to sell out of 1 of them at this point. And don't quote me on that, because he said I think maybe he said he might sell out of that tank. He might not even be actually selling out of that tank yet, just because he's not sure about it. But I think 1 out of the 4 tanks of yellows that he has is doing good. So he might have a good strain too. But they would be imports or USA bred generation 1s, as he's going to start calling them, which I think is awesome. Hi everyone. Dan Tanks, what's up? Danks. Kyle's Fish Room. About time they caught up with Facebook and Instagram. Don't know how they took them. V-Stag, I'm checking out your link right now. Portable adjustable flow 8-port driven. Wow. Fancy. What is it adjustable up to? Where's the item description? 8 manifold gives you an even more precision, blah, blah, blah. From 0 to 25 gallons an hour. So if I set it to 1 gallon per hour, each outlet has its own adjustable flow. Okay, so that wouldn't divide it by 8, it'd be 1 gallon. So I would have to divide it by myself. A gallon per hour is a lot. Yeah, that still would be, that's still way too much for what I'm trying to do. Thank you for trying, but you know, like I'm trying to get, like I said, I'm trying to get it down to 1/7 of a gallon per day. So that's quite a drop from, if I do a gallon per hour, I don't even know the math on how I would have to get that down to 1/7 of a gallon per day. So basically I would have to take 1 gallon per hour, multiply that by 24. So that's 24 gallons per day. And I'm looking for 1/7 of a gallon per day. Let's round that up to 1/10 of a gallon a day to make it math easier. So if we have 24 gallons drip rate, and I'm looking for 1/10 of a gallon per day, I would have to divide it like 200 times. Yeah, I don't even have enough tanks to do that, to use one of the outputs on that 8 manifold. So you know what I'm doing? Maybe what I'm trying to do is impossible. Maybe I don't have anything that goes that slow. I mean, it would be good if I had like a 75 gallon tank, or if I was trying to do like 50% water changes a week or something, but I'm not. So I'm thinking I might not be able to keep a constant drip. Worst case scenario on this is I'm going to buy those half-gallon drip emitters, and they do half-gallon an hour. So then just once, probably twice a week for 15 to 20 minutes, I would let it drip. But then I got to control it, and that's what I was trying to avoid. Even though it's just turning a switch on, waiting 20 minutes, and turning a switch off, there's still the possibility of, oops, I forgot, and now I just did 300% water change. I'm not sure if you're an expert on carpets, but I got some Monte Carlo recently, and I used Flubelschirm Stratum, the sea gem flourish, but it seems to be dying. Do you know why? I am not a plant guy at all, which is why I just switched to Subwassertang, because I heard it's super easy. So, and it doesn't require anything. I wish I could help you, but unfortunately, I am not. Most carpeting plants, though, require high-tech tanks. So you're going to need CO2 and really good lighting, probably like a watt a gallon or higher, at least. Yeah, most carpeting plants, since they're low down like that, they need a lot of loving, which is why Subwassertang is kind of amazing, because it really doesn't. Even though I've only experienced it for about a month, I'm new to Subwassertang, but seems to be doing okay in my tanks, and I only have the real cheap beams of work lights for $40 off of Amazon or eBay. Can someone join? V-Stag, you in?
Yeah, it's me, V-Stag. What's
What's
up,
going
buddy?
on? How you
That
doing?
that adjustable emitter thing that I showed you the link to, if you actually look at the picture, I believe each one of those little screws on top of the thing They're like little flathead looking set screws is what I know them as. That's like a little ball valve that'll adjust each one of those 1/4 inch lines there. You can get it all the way down to where I knew people that did like indoor growing with these systems, and they were able to get it down to where, I mean, it dripped tiny amounts of water. It was way less than a gallon per hour. It was maybe like a tenth of a gallon per hour on little tiny, seedling plants.
Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe I'll buy one and give it a shot and see if I could get it going as soon as I want, you know.
If you look at the picture, on the second picture, there's two different ones on there. And if you look at the one with the 1/4 inch lines hooked to it, you can see it hooks up to a standard, I think it's like a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch sprinkler head. And then it breaks all those eight down or that one into those eight. And then you can adjust each one of those things. And it'll definitely, I mean, it'll get the water trickling out at such a rate, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I actually didn't look at that picture, but now that you're telling me to look at the picture, I can see what you mean. Like I thought it was just going to be a dial, like 0, which is basically off, 1, 2, 3, you know. But I can see now that it's a screw, so it's not just 0 through 25. It's 0 through 25, and basically everything in between.
Right. From the way I seen it, you get your standard pressure from your sprinkler system in, and then each one of those, there's eight of them. You can see they're little tiny, like I call them set screws. That's what I knew them from the work that I used to do. But those little tiny screws, you use a flathead, and each one of them adjusts each one of those 1/4 inch lines. So each line can go either 0 or 0.001 gallon per hour all the way up to the 25 gallon per hour. When you have all eight flowing with constant pressure, that's 8 times 25 gallons per hour. So I could tell you were misunderstanding how it worked, but it does work the way I'm telling you. If you like, I'm sure if you look into some other companies, you'll see it works that way, and it would achieve what you're looking for. I don't know nothing about shrimp or nothing like that, but the rate and the flow rate you're looking for can be achieved,
That's
and
awesome.
pretty simple and cheap. So
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's only like $8 if you buy one of them, and that covers 8 tanks. But I don't need like 3 of them, so that's awesome.
right, so if you only need three, you could shut down five of them and have them there in case in the future you do more. You could have three of them down, putting out only like 0.001 gallon per hour or something. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's huge. I bookmarked it. Bookmarking it right now. Actually, I'm just gonna add it to my cart right now. Why bookmark?
there's there's a couple different companies out there. I forget, it's been a while since I've looked into all this stuff, but I noticed when you were talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I've been through this before and seen this. So
Yeah, man, I totally appreciate it. That's awesome.
nah, man, that's what the fish fam's for, man. We're here to help each other. So
Yep. So what are you up to these days? Enough talking about me. Now that you're on here, let's hear your stuff.
I think some people have heard my stuff. I mean, I'm just a simple fish lover. I found the fish community through Aquarium Co-op. I one day just happened to come across one of his videos. No, since then I've been hooked, been addicted, and I have one 10-gallon tank that holds a betta, and right now 4 black neon tetras. I have a second 10-gallon tank that is in the process of cycling. I have a 90-gallon tank that's sitting in a storage unit right now because I'm in the process of trying to buy a house and I didn't want to set it up in the house I was renting. So that 90 also needs to be resealed before it goes back up. Other than that, I'm a young retired person, and that's my story.
That is a good story. Yeah. So Yeah, that's awesome. I love the fish fam too. I got into it from Love Diesel. I was searching for shrimp information and came across one of his videos, and then I was like, this is awesome. Started chatting and getting into the live stream, saw how awesome everyone is and supportive everyone is. And just keep coming in. Now I can't wait. I think Shishimi Whiskey's doing a meetup. I'm gonna have to go back. I missed the live stream that he himself talked about it, but someone asked Rob in his live stream if he was going. So I'm gonna have to get the information on that, because maybe I'll head up, because I like meeting people in person. I'm gonna try to make it to the aquatic experience, because I know a lot of you guys are going to that. So yeah, I'm gonna try so I can put some faces and personality to you people.
Yeah, me and a buddy of mine from Delaware. I'm from like southeastern Pennsylvania and Lancaster area, but I got a buddy down in Delaware. We're both gonna try and drive out on like Thursday night, Friday morning to the aquatic experience and do the meetup and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people are trying to go. So I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna get a hotel room. The problem is I only have one friend who's really into fish, and he's a saltwater guy, so he doesn't really care about the aquatic experience, and he hates road trips. So he's like, I'm not going. So now I'm trying to convince my wife, but if my wife comes, then we got to get a babysitter for the weekend.
Yeah, that's all.
Or I can just go home. What's that? I'm sorry.
I say I'm pretty lucky. My kids are both grown up and 18 now, so they can babysit themselves. But yeah, I know the feeling. Like that's our whole thing is he's got a job, and we both want to go out together. We've been best friends since we was little kids, so it's like something we wanted to do together and everything. But we're not sure. We're debating on whether we want to get a motel room or something, or just go out there and wing it. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. I think, I don't know. If I end up going by myself, I'm definitely not getting a hotel room. I'm just going to find a parking spot somewhere and recline my seat.
Right. That's what we were talking about, renting maybe a minivan or a car. That or driving. My car's a little sports car because it'd be tough to drive that out there, but maybe a minivan if we rent that. That way, if we did need to lay back and catch some Z's, I think it's like a 13, 14-hour trip out there. So
Maybe,
go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe Rob will bring his electrician van, and we'll ask if we can sleep in that.
Hey, right on, you know? Right on. You're from Buffalo, correct?
Correct, yep.
When I seen Rob's video, I seen you said you were from there. I grew up in upstate New York on a 180-acre brown Swiss milking farm. I loved it up there, man. I've been to Buffalo, been to the airport probably 100 times.
Beautiful. I like it here. I lived in Virginia for 4 years, and we came back here. Well, we came back for family, but it's just a really nice area to live in too. But I don't know. I'm gonna look at the last few comments. I'm gonna get to bed because it's like 12:30 here, I think, and I gotta work in the morning.
Cool beans. I just wanted to jump on and give you a heads up on that thing. I could tell we weren't on the same page, and I don't type well, so.
Man, you don't know how much I appreciate it, because I would have read that. Like, I wouldn't even looked at the picture. I would have just read 0 to 25 and been like, so the lowest I could set it to is 1, which is too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm so glad you set me straight on that.
Nah, I wasn't trying to set you straight, but glad you understand it now. That way, maybe it'll work for you.
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna get off of here, but good talking to you, man.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna get off too. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching and coming and support me. Check out my the RO videos coming out tomorrow. So it's going to be, it basically just shows me unboxing the unit, how I mounted it, how I split everything so that it can go to the fridge, and how I can fill my separate 5-gallon containers off of just the RO without going through the DI. And then it shows how I ran the DI to the fish room, hooked up the float valve. I measured the TDS for my tap from the fridge, from the garbage can. And then I gave a brief overview of how I'm going to set up the drip system, and how I'm going to remineralize it. But yeah, that's going to come out tomorrow because I'll probably edit that over my lunch break. And like I said, it's not going to be too much editing. It's probably going to be about a 10-minute long video. And if I do it over lunch, it should come out probably about 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. But anyways, guys, good night. Later. Thank you for coming up. And awesome. Talk to me here while you scrub the algae. And see, that's great. Doing water changes or water maintenance and tank maintenance. That's always a good thing. All right. Later, guys.